Here we go. Of course, I can't drink coffee, so all right. This is Rudy Reyes here on TheRudeDogShow.com. Notoriety Sports as well. Stacey Elliott joins me. Man, I was looking at their ring. I was really admiring that for half a minute because I'm a huge Steelers fan, and I know what championship rings look like. That one is actually quite nice, I must say. You're very welcome. And I know sometimes gifts come easy. The gift of your son going to the NFL, this third day of the draft, right? The final day. Were there any jitters that you had? Maybe a words of wisdom to your son on draft day that you can recall easily that you told him before his name was called?
On draft day, all I was there for was to help my son figure out what suit he was going to wear and make sure that everything went smooth that day for him and my family.
And I think it did. Getting drafted by the Cowboys. Was that something he wanted? I mean, way back in the day, was he ever a Cowboys fan? What team did he want to be a part of? And he said, Dad, I'm going to be this when I grow up.
Well, Ezekiel grew up a St. Louis Rams fan. Marshall Faulk was one of his favorite players. And so he obviously during the 2016 draft, the Rams were no longer in St. Louis, Missouri. So I would say he didn't dream of playing for the Dallas Cowboys, but he didn't have a problem with playing for the Dallas Cowboys either.
I don't think so either. For some reason, albeit for me to think that, hey, I'm going to play in an NFL team. Was he ever concerned about just not getting drafted, perhaps? Was it something that he was really worried about? Was he sweating over it by chance?
Well, believe it or not, I would say probably. He never voiced it, but Ezekiel's a very humble young man. So even on draft day, when his name was called, his reaction was a reaction of someone who is humble. And so he literally dropped the phone. And so was he nervous? Yes, I know he was nervous. We were nervous. He was nervous. Definitely he was nervous.
Were you nervous for him, basically?
Yeah, it was a nervousness that no one knows what's going to happen on that day. No matter how wise you may be, whatever sports pundits, no one knows. Like 2 days ago, no one knew who exactly would be the number one overall pick was. And it wasn't the one that many said would be.
That's right. It happens all the time. You see Malik Willis, quarterback, did not get drafted till round 3, late in the third round by the Tennessee Titans, which was completely unbeknownst to me. He was round 1 talent to me, but you never really know how that happened. So did he what was his reaction after being drafted by the Cowboys? Was he collective? Was he calm? Was he yelling at the top of his lungs? What was his reaction?
His reaction was of astonishment. His reaction was of gratefulness, humbleness. His reaction was, wow, I can't believe this happened to me. Yeah, that's what his reaction was.
A lot of players don't end up getting drafted, as you know, undrafted free agents floating around all the time. And when you look at undrafted free agents, unfortunately, only a few make it in and on an NFL roster. I've interviewed a lot of players myself, so I'm familiar with what their thoughts were on draft day. But what reminds me of that is when I look back at all the players that I have spoken to, a lot of them are extremely humble, and their post-game pressers are, God first, and I want to do what He wants. I think that the current NFL landscape, I believe, honestly, needs to do probably a better job in regards to helping coach up these guys, not from a physical or athletic standpoint, but from a personal and emotional standpoint as well, to make sure that they're right up there leveled off with their athleticism. What was your experience like on draft day? Tell me what was going through your mind.
Well, the green room environment is a special environment on draft day. If you're blessed to be in the green room with your son on that day, it's very unique. When his name was called, I went back in time from the time I could recall he was running around making basketballs out of socks, using trash cans as hoops. I went back in my mind and I saw his mother who sacrificed so much, as I would style her as a soccer mom on steroids, and how we as a family sacrifice so that we could create the best environment for our children, Ezekiel in particular, and also how he worked so hard to um, receive his dream. It was his dream. It wasn't my dream. It wasn't his mother's dream. It was his dream. And to achieve that, the feeling I can't even describe in words.
Tears rolling down your face as well. And if they weren't visible, perhaps there were tears on the inside. Feeling for him, saying, you know what, you got this. It's the assurement conversation that you had with him after. What did you tell him exactly? What was that conversation like with him after he was drafted? What were your words of wisdom to him?
You know, I wouldn't say my words, I gave him words of wisdom, but what I did tell him, I am proud of you. Not only these accomplishments, but I'm proud of you in the man you are becoming and the heart that God has blessed you with. He's a very loving, giving person.
Sounds like he's on the right track. Now I know this past year for him wasn't by far the most productive yards per carry. I was kind of disappointed not to see him get the rock as often as he obviously wanted to get the rock. Did he express any feelings towards that with you in any kind of conversation to say, Dad, what's going on? How can I get more touches? Or what do I do to help facilitate getting more of those yards per carry?
No, he didn't, because me as his father and his parents, his mom, we never discussed sports with Ezekiel ever. That's not our place. We've always turned him over to coaches and trusted the process. Now, that's not to say that I'm human. I don't need him to come to me express anything. I'm looking at what's going on, being a former player myself. But we have maintained our discipline, stayed out the way, trusted the process. And, you know, Ezekiel hears football talk all his life. And so the last thing he wants to do when he's in the presence of his family or his father to talk more about football.
So those conversations in the off season, nothing to do with football, just talking family amongst, picnics and just having family reunions, things of that nature. Does he ever just bring up random things about football to you, or do you guys ever reminisce about what it was like growing up for him?
We reminisce a lot. I bring up football things about him regarding his the process when he was being recruited and things like that. Ezekiel's kind of silent with that kind of stuff. Very rare do you hear Ezekiel talk about himself. He's just not that kind of guy. And he'll say, Dad, you do all the talking, and so we talk a lot about business, family businesses. We have things going on. Family endeavors and things like that, and just enjoy each other, like any normal family would.
So normality outside of football is the way to go. Stacey Elliott joins me here on the Rude Dog Show. Ezekiel Elliott's dad. Thank you so much for your time. Any foundations, anything that you want to let people know about what you're doing outside of this interview here today?
Well, one of the things that I'm doing, I've teamed up with Terrance Parsons, Mr. Parsons, Michael Parsons' father, and other NFL dads, is we're just going around the country. We want to motivate, inspire, and teach and encourage, athletes and their families and just people in general. And so they call me the ambassador of hope. And so I just want to be an ambassador of motivation, inspiration, and encouragement.
And to the new generation as well. So that's always fantastic to know. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time. Thank you so much. Safe travels to you wherever you go. It's Rudy Reyes on the Rude Dog Show, Notoriety Sports Network. Thanks for tuning in. We appreciate it. Have a great day.